down here today. I realise we're all very busy in our sort of working and professional lives, so I'm genuinely pleased that you could take the time out to be with us, so thank you very much indeed. Also, this audience deserves another thank you, which is everybody in the room, which is either current or perhaps the sponsor of the club. And whilst perhaps I haven't said this before, and I should have done, I'm very grateful for all the support we have and having a past provided for the club. Obviously, we encourage you to continue, and certainly with any more support, a lot of the things that we're talking about today just would not have been possible. So thank you very much indeed. A heartfelt thanks from me personally and from everybody at the club. Thank you. The good news is you're not going to listen to us for like the next 3 hours, and there's not 50 PowerPoint slides to go through. And equally, we're not trying to sell you anything directly. If anything, we just want to have a very informal discussion about where the club is, what progress we've made, and more importantly, what our plans are for the future. So, as I said, we're not here to sort of pitch anything too formal, but I think it's very important that we share with you the relative success the club has had to date. All of you have probably been involved longer than me in many respects, but we brought the club back to South Shields just over 3 years ago now, and as you're all aware, we've had, relatively speaking, some great success, and that's really encouraging. And what we've launched, or what we're about to launch today, is a project that we're calling Project EFL, that we hope just kind of encapsulates the ambition and the future outlook for the club. All of which, however, is entirely dependent on our fans and on our business partners and our business associates and sponsors. So I'll go on and talk a little bit more about Project EFL in a moment, but just to dwell on the sort of first team success, and I'm not going to steal any of Lee's thunder, he's here to talk a little bit about that, but obviously 3 incredible years, various titles. I didn't imagine that moving back from Peter Lee, we'd move from an average home crowd of around 70 to an average home crowd last year of over 1,500. And it's nice just for a moment to sort of pat ourselves on the back and have a little bit of self-indulgence. However, it's all about moving forward. So it's great that we got immediately out of Northern League Division 2 as champions, then moved on, of course, and was champions of Northern League Division 1. Our cup successes, not least of which was the Vars final win. And then, of course, last year, a further promotion, and now sitting ourselves in a strong position in Evo-Stik Premier. So I think all of that is well understood. We've been lucky enough to get some good social media and general media coverage, and obviously we've got a strong fan base. And all I would say is that, it's wonderful to have that, and you look at the history, the brochure that you've got in front of you is just a bit of a draft that we wanted to leave with you. There'll be some further material coming out in due course, but that document sort of gives you a bit more detail about the successes I've just touched on, and some of the key milestones in the club's history as well. One thing I would say though is that often, first team success grabs the headlines, and we're also today wanting to talk a little bit about, the academy, our Futures Academy, and indeed the foundation that's headed up by Steve Camm to my far right. So, that's certainly an important part of the overall story about our football club, and certainly a big part of how we plan to move things forward. So turning to Project EFL, really, the bottom line is we believe that South Shields Football Club can compete in the Football League. And that might sound like a pipe dream, it might seem, some might say, overly ambitious, but I certainly don't believe so. And that's not arrogance, it's just that I think our town and South Tyneside deserve that, and I think we can deliver it. The problem is, I guess, is that I can't do it on my own, and I can only do it with the support and success and the support of you guys as business partners, and indeed from the fans. We know what we've got to achieve, and we've got to almost double, if not more than double, our fan base that turn up on a match day over the course of the next few years. So some lofty ambitions, but Project EFL is a way of trying to encapsulate all of that ambition. In practical terms, I don't want to waffle too much, but in practical terms, what I'd like you to take away from today is just to try and endorse that project. We've got a logo. The idea is we're going to share with you various material and collateral so that you can use that on your company letterhead, perhaps on your email footers. You can stick it in the office window. You can share it with your suppliers and your employees. And the whole idea is, trying to get some momentum behind that project, Project EFL, and trying to get some identity with it and understand why it's important to our club, but also to our broader community. So that's really quite simple. So, you know, some practical steps that I'd like to think you guys can take, trying to, if you like, be the evangelists that support what we're trying to launch today. These events will continue. We're going to carry on with numerous events like this, and certainly our sponsors and partners will be heavily involved in all of those. So I don't want to talk too much. I wanted to just hand over to Lee to talk a little bit about, more detail about the first team affairs and the academy, and then over to Steve to talk about the foundation, all of which are critically important. And without further ado, I'll hand you over to Pan on my right.
Thank you, and thank you all for coming. Just want to extend, obviously, Geoff's thanks to you all. I cast my mind back to just over 2 years ago when I first came to the football club, and I was at Blythe Spartans Football Club before I came here, and I had, you know, quite a big decision to make as to what I do next with my career. And at the time, Blythe were, I think it was 3 leagues above where South Shields were, and to a lot of people it might look like a backward step to go from what was then an Evo-Stik Premier club to a club that had just come out of the Northern League Second Division. But having had a chat with Geoff, and once he outlined, you know, how he wanted to go about, you know, progressing this football club, it became a really easy decision for me to come across to South Shields. And I think the thing that really motivated me and continues to motivate me the most is the opportunity to take what has pretty much been a blank canvas. You know, I'm sure you're all aware of where the club was before Geoff came on board. And once Geoff took control of the club, you know, we literally had a blank canvas to try and build something what we would consider to be, you know, special moving forwards. And I think that's the message that we're trying to get across, that we feel that there is the opportunity to build something massively special. You know, we've already, you know, gone through the first 2-3 years of that, but the scope to continue that and to produce and generate something that is really going to touch a lot of people in this community is a huge motivator for me. I cast my memory back to, you know, the Vars run. You know, the celebration that we had in the town, both, you know, the summer just gone and the summer before, and just to see the impact that this football club has had on so many people in the South Tyneside community is, again, just a huge motivation for me and everybody here at the football club, knowing that we, you know, without getting too kind of overly romantic about it, but I feel that we are genuinely, you know, touching people's lives and making a difference and making them feel good about their hometown and about the area that they live in and about the football club. And you are a massive part of that. I'm also a very ambitious kind of coach and manager, and again, you know, the outline that's in the brief that Geoff is trying to put across to you today resonates with me personally as well. I've been involved in football for a long time, and been involved in football clubs that, to be honest with you, the extent of their ambition is to continue to exist from day to day, to week, to month, and to be part of something that is, you know, part of an organisation that wants to grow and take as many people along with it as possible to try and enhance their lives and you know, and things like that is a really big thing for me. And the ambition, I think it's always fantastic to be part of something where you set a specific goal and you're trying everything within your power to work towards that specific goal. And I think the goals that Geoff is setting out today for the football club are really exciting, and I want to be a part of that. And I know everybody that's involved in the club is deeply committed towards, you know, trying to work towards those goals. And we would love you all to be part of that as well. So apologies if I waffled on a little bit too much, but that's, you know, that's my take on where we're at as a club and where we want to be and the reasons why we're doing it. You know, the work that Steve has already done here in his short time here at the football club, plus the likes of Jamie Williams and Wes Brown, who've been absolutely fundamental to the growth and development of our junior section and our foundation arm of the club. Really has been inspirational to see the kids out using this facility every single day, every single night. Like I say, to see the wider impact on the social impact on the town is incredible. But I'll let Steve take over and talk more about that. Thank you very much, James.
Thanks, Lee. Right back at you, but I will say a little bit about that too. I've kind of been here now as a volunteer initially for about 5 years, and luckily now full time with the club to develop the foundation. The foundation is an independently registered and governed charity, but it's very much part of the club's plans and ambitions, and we are massively lucky to be part of this club. What I like to say is that what Lee and Graham have achieved on the pitch in terms of the 3 successive promotions, I think as a charity we've achieved the charitable equivalent of 3 successive promotions in the way that we've grown and developed over the last few years. What we're about, really, our job, our 40 volunteer coaches, what they do every day of every week is put smiles on kids' faces. We work with about 350 young people between 4 and 18 every week. That's through 23 junior teams aged from 7 to 18. We run the schools representative district squad. We've got open community programs so that anyone can turn up and participate in football. And we run a massively popular girls-only football program, which has just started up again after the summer break. So there's lots and lots of things going on in terms of the foundation. We're also massively lucky to have the support of Blair Adams. Blair, alongside his commitments with the first team, delivers coaching to our junior players, and you can see that the thrill and the buzz that those kids get from that experience. We've also just created our first job. We've just taken on an apprentice who's actually also going to be working with us, delivering on increasing the coaching practice and experience that kids get whilst they're with us as part of their memories of being at the foundation. I think where we're going though is we're about to launch a project really that connects with what we're talking about today, which is about increasing and widening our social impact in terms of the community out there. Because for us, it's not just about football, and it's not just about young people. What the foundation offers are opportunities in terms of social interaction, making new friends, learning new skills, taking an interest in what's going on, as well as the physical activity side of stuff. So Pilates for parents is just as important as football is for the kids. And so we'll be talking to people, our fans, our supporters, the businesses that work with us, about the sorts of things that they'd like to see us running as a foundation, that can really broaden that impact and contribution that we make, essentially under the mantra of we want to put more smiles on more people's faces. Part of that is an ambition by 2020 to have a new building on site that will be an asset for the foundation, financed by the foundation, that's actually about really cementing that position as central to the community. We do deliver massive social impact already, about £1 million worth, in fact, last year. So for every pound that we generate or create, we create about £17 worth of value with that. So we're pretty clear about what we're about and what we try to do. And I can only see that growing with the support and help of people like yourselves. We are financially independent, we're not grant dependent. We look to generate income to support the activities that we provide, because that's the only sustainable way to do it. We want what we're building here to last. And I think part of that really is whilst we do accept all major credit cards, we don't just want your cash. It's the social capital that exists of the people in this room is just as valuable to us as money. If you think about what I said about the skills, experience, connections that people have got in this room, can make a massive contribution to the foundation. One example is Zach, the apprentice that I talked to you about. The way that we're funding Zach's role is through the sales of tea and coffee in a wooden kiosk that's sited by the 3G that was kindly donated to us by Timberline. That's a perfect example of the way that we can make things like that work. And I think for us, what's exciting about Project EFL is to be part of it. I think that what's important to us is it's not about that destination, it's about the journey. And it's about who we take with us on that journey and how we put something back, because our remit as a foundation is to improve the lives, the health and well-being of people that live in this area. And that will be our central contribution to this project as it develops in the next few years. So thank you for listening.
So not too much more formality really. We're breaking a short time for some lunch, and then we'll have a few questions and answers. And as I said earlier, you can have a bit of an opportunity to mingle. I was just going to summarise really, lofty ambitions for us as a football club, some amazing achievements with the first team. Obviously, the creation of our academy, the creation of our Futures Academy with Mortimer, all the things that Steve's just said about the foundation, are all part of this journey that we're on. But none of it's going to work, and we're not going to, achieve our lofty ambitions without the support of the business community and without our fans. So forgive me for repeating that, but it's just the messaging is, if I had, a request from you as an audience, it's to continue to support the club, be the sort of evangelists, if you like, support this Project EFL, think about some unique and innovative ways where you can get involved. As Steve's just said, that's not necessarily writing a check, it's about being part of it and promoting it. So I don't want to repeat all of that. I'm just again thanking you again for your time today. I suggest, given the time, that we'll grab some lunch, and then if you can mingle back in here, and we'll take whatever questions you might have, and then we'll send you on your way. But thanks again for your time, and thanks for listening this afternoon. Thank you. As a theme and as a project, and there's multiple ways you can do that, none of which involve writing a check or putting your hand in your pocket. So it's about you being the evangelist. So my point is, I just want to take some questions, any questions you might have. Obviously Steve's here, and Lee will be back with us in a short time if there's any questions about the academy or the first team that I can't answer. So without further ado, equally, if you want to pick up something privately, one-on-one, we're all hanging around after the formal proceedings this afternoon, so if you want to pick up on any of it with us individually, then we're only too happy to do so. But in the meantime, if there's any questions, please fire away. Yep, good question. So the question was about the ground grading. Obviously the league, the Football League, have a certain specification, and quite clearly we don't satisfy Football League ground status just yet. Our ground grading this year obviously is satisfactory. It's also satisfactory if we achieve promotion into, let me get this right, Conference North next year. But there is work to be done. And I think I've said publicly a number of times, we've been working closely with South Tyneside Council. We've recently submitted a pre-planning application to the council. We've just purchased the warehouse opposite, and the intention is to redevelop in that area, so building a new stand. Steve also touched on the new community building, which will have things like, although we haven't designed it yet because it's down to the community to do so, but that community building will have gym, dance studios, indoor sports hall perhaps. We haven't finalised the spec. So my point is, there's some clear plans to deliver on both the community building, the new stand, and make sure we've got the ground grading in time to get to the Football League. Well, I think all I'd say is, right, that costs money, of course, and we're managing the club very prudently and sensibly. We believe we can fund that new stand in the community building But of course, the bet we're all placing, and certainly I'm personally placing, is that you guys as sponsors, the broader business community in South Tyneside get more and more involved in the way that we've just touched on today, perhaps, and equally that the fans continue to show up in numbers and we can continue to grow the fan base. And if it was easy, of course, everybody would be doing it. It's extremely complex. I was saying to somebody earlier, forgive me, I can't remember everyone's name I was talking to around the lunch table, but in business I've run other businesses and larger businesses, but I have to say running a football club and a community football club with all of the elements we've talked about today, it's incredibly complex and there's so many moving parts. But what I do strongly believe is that the fundamental is the business support we need from you guys and the broader business community and the fans turning up. But if that happens, everything's possible. So, sorry, any more? I'd like to have lots of questions, so please proceed. If there's any for Steve, he's here to reply as well.
I think it's to do it the right way, to be fair, because the foundation is the main support area, the main area. Because if you've got foundations, you can build anything. And the foundation will bring all the youth, the youth will support the place instead of going to next Newcastle or Sunday to get more people through the door. At the early age, then we'll come up and support us in a late age, which will get more money out of it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, the foundation, our investment in the Futures Academy at Mortimer, the investment with the academy itself, all of that's designed to just, be part of a community football club. All right, some of those kids end up being elite footballers, if you like, and get into the first team. But as Steve said earlier, it's not really all about that, but that is part of just building the fabric of the club. Stephen, you might want to.
I think, it is about that. I mean, what we want to be as a foundation is absolutely not a burden on the club, which is why we're financially self-sustaining and everything we do seeks to generate an income that we can reinvest. And I think that's important. And I think what the foundation does as well, it gives us a degree of balance in that what we've got running throughout the club, it's not just about elite performance, it's also about participation, and that's really what we do as a foundation, and the academy is a kind of bridge in the middle. So we don't want to exclude anybody from doing anything here, football related or not, based on where they live, what they can afford to do, or the level of ability. That's not what we do, because if we do that, then I don't think we'll be pleased. Should we achieve this? And so the foundation programs are around growing what that offer looks like, and the way to do that is to ask people. We're not going to make assumptions about the sorts of things you want. We want to be careful that we're not displacing people from other activities in other facilities, because that's not good either. So we're really clear about the way that we want to do this. But at the end of the day, part of that building works and development works that are planned. As a charity, we'll take on some of the finance of that, but that requires participation in our programmes just as much as it requires people coming through the door to watch the first team. But that's really where our starting position is, that we contribute in a positive way in terms of experience, but also in terms of finance.
Is that question for you, Miss? Sorry.
Yeah, I was just, you do tick a lot of community boxes. Would you consider applying for any grants, even one-off ones?
But I don't like grants, if I'm honest. If somebody offered me one, I wouldn't turn it down. But as a starting position, that's not where I want to be. Because I so often, if there was a grant that 100% tied in with what our ambitions and purpose and contribution was all about, then yes. I think what I don't want to do is to create something that we can't sustain. All too often you see organisations that chase grants that change what they do in order to comply with what the grant funder will fund, rather than sticking to what they're about, and that's not really what we do. It's about something that connects. It's about making sure that what we create has got a life beyond any funded programme that goes with it.
That's the best way.
Yes, please.
It's just really about the sponsorship programs that you offer. A lot of us have obviously sponsored for a lot of years, and it's been from the heart. Obviously, as the club's getting bigger and there's more financial constraints on the managing that to make sure that the companies that are out there are getting involved more, that if there's awards or something like that going on, so we really feel like
You're absolutely
we're not
right.
just taking our money, we're actually involved more with the club. It's not just turning up for a match,
Yeah.
it's being involved with
Yeah,
that. So
that's a really good question, and I completely agree with what you've said. I think, if I'm honest, and this is a personal perspective, so I haven't rehearsed this or debated it with the rest of the team, but I think what happened was, we've had all of these loyal sponsors, you guys clearly very much part of that, and we've probably relied too heavily on them in the past. It's almost been like many of you are here because of your heart, as well as maybe partly your head. And I think the clubs, I'm not being critical of previous leadership of the club, it's just a fact that it's all too easy to pick up the phone to the person who was the sponsor before and say, would you mind doing it again next year? So I think we've got to be far more creative. If I'm honest with myself, my criticism of me is that I've been a bit slow recognising the importance of the sponsors. That doesn't mean I've never valued them, clearly I have. But I'm just trying to reinforce your point. I think we're going to have to be much more creative, much more flexible. And Project EFL, if you like, is a way of sort of batching it all up. And for me, practical things like, sponsors using these facilities, coming down and having a business meeting. It doesn't have to be, the match day experience. It's equally on our part, being more generous with our sponsors. We've got to think out of the box about what do you need, what would be the right gesture from the club, whether it's giving your employees some free tickets for the game or, running some competitions for employees. There's a myriad of things that we need to do. I wish we had all the answers. We haven't.
really communication as well,
Yeah.
getting us involved in football setups and things
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're sponsors of the academy. So
Yeah. You're absolutely right.
We're into our second year now, and it's been
It's a very good point. And you know what, I would never be defensive about it, because I think that's a very good example of where we have dropped the ball, if you pardon the pun. That's things like that are mistakes. We don't do them intentionally, of course. Maybe it's bandwidth, but even though you see the football club and, we're turning over about £1 million a year, and we've got a certain management resource, we're all very stretched. And that's not an excuse. So to answer your point, I think we've got to be more creative, we've certainly got to do more, and how we manage our relationships with our sponsors, given that Project EFL is all about having more of them, and that doesn't necessarily mean more match day sponsors, although that would be lovely as well, but it's about all of those softer things that I talked about before, and we've got a responsibility to manage the relationships with you far better than we have in the past. What I'll do is, if you don't mind, I'll take that away to sort of an action to think about, because I think I haven't got this recipe that says, right, this is what we're going to do, but I recognise it's a weakness and it's something we've got to materially improve on. And my final point, repeated, is we're lucky enough to have you guys in the room as long-serving, loyal supporters and sponsors, but if we're going to deliver on this Project EFL vision, we need multiple more sponsors, and if we don't treat you right, we're probably not going to treat the new sponsors right. So my apologies if that's the case, but we'll be working and redoubling our efforts to make sure we do put things right. Please, sorry, more questions? Yes, please.
You mentioned possibly doubling the gate, the funding or more. Is that a requirement of the FA, and what plans may you have to actually achieve that? Because that's a huge start.
Yeah, you're right. Well, it's not a requirement of the FA. The FA have a certain ground specification, obviously, which we have to meet, which is why we've got the pre-planning application underway to redevelop the ground. But it really comes down to numbers. Steve used the phrase earlier about, everything that he's doing in the foundation and we're supporting him with at the club is about sustainability. And we can all think of examples of football clubs where, let's say, a wealthy owner has thrown money at it and then it's maybe not quite achieved, or the owner's got bored, or what we're trying to do at South Shields is be a proper community football club. I see myself as the caretaker, if you like, and so we're back to the point about the numbers. We will need 3,000 plus fans turning up at a home game to survive at conference and above. Now you might think, is that really practical and possible? Well, of course we've got to improve the ground and make sure the facilities are better, but we've got around 160,000 people living in South Tyneside, around 80,000 in South Shields. So when you do the numbers, and there's this broader conurbation around us, why can't we achieve that and get that kind of volume through the gate? And when we do, not only will the foundation continue to prosper, but the club's then in a sustainable situation, and we can continue to reinvest. So that's really the bottom line. Yes, please.
We use this. I'm Emma from Cultural Spring, and we run the Arts and Community Projects in South Shields. And we used this venue last year for 2 theatre performances, which they weren't full house, but they were well attended.
Thank you.
And it was a great event. And a lot of people come to the back. They never knew this venue existed, or that they could come and they weren't into football, but actually it's a great place to come and see something else. Before your community hub is built, are you planning on a programme of using the space when it's vacant to run community workshops or one-off events as the funding sort of comes in to do that community hub? Because I know you mentioned like a dance hall or exercise, but local groups coming in here, knit and natter or ukulele bands, whatever. Have you got a programme in place for?
Well, it's interesting, that very simple brochure in front of you sort of talks about various opportunities to support the club and be involved. But one part of that is just using the facilities here, the marquee, these facilities, and we're trying to encourage businesses to do so. I'll hand over to Steve with his plans on the foundation, because there's a number of things that he's started some engagement sessions to make sure that the facilities here are properly understood and that we design the future facilities far better. In a way though, hearing what you said, firstly, great that you used the facilities and everybody enjoyed it, that's terrific to hear, but I've got to somehow, or we've got to somehow get that message across the whole business community and a far broader audience than the typical football fan. And we're doing our best to kind of communicate, social media, mainstream media, but the fact that you've raised that point suggests we're not anywhere near where we need to be. How do we get that message across about the facilities here and encourage businesses to use them as much as possible?
Yeah, absolutely. It is the answer to the question. That's what we're looking to do. We're more smiles, more faces. Remember what I said. That this is not just football, and it's not just young people. This is about a programme that's around health and well-being of the local community. The way we want to develop that is co-design it with them. We're not just going to say we'll build it and they'll come, but we want to make sure that we understand what the issues are of people, whether that's employers, whether it's fans, whether it's local residents, and we put a programme that meets those needs and have no limits on what that should look like and no expectations of what it should look like. We're totally driven by what people say. The launch of that phase of the foundation's development is soon. The reason being that we want to build those markets for when the community hub opens. So if that means next week, the week after, we use the marquee for a facility that in 2 years' time will be placed in a building somewhere else on site, that's exactly what we'll do. What we'll do, we will deliver some stuff ourselves. We will also collaborate with other partners that do programs that meet our social and community objectives. We'll only work with people who share our values. As a charity, it's illegal for us to provide any kind of subsidy to private business. So, if somebody shares our outlook and values around developing and contribution within the community, then we'd love to talk to you.
Keep it going, please. Steve?
Marquee to others at the venue, so in my eyes it's very much in the use. Could we not try and sort of do that for local bands and things like that, or weddings, things like that?
Yeah, again, we're trying. Obviously, we're not there yet. And we've been, if you like, incrementally making that facility better, with various elements, toilet facilities, all the things you'd expect, of course. But the capex for that was quite a significant sum of money, and yet it's standing idle a lot of the time. Now, whether we can fix that in this room today, but what I would encourage is, with the foundation, but equally as a football club, the two entities combined, working with you guys, you know, we want to promote it. We're going to be doubling our efforts to do so. We've got obviously Daniel now here full time, so we've got somebody from a media point of view that can hopefully help David and the rest of the team kind of communicate all of these facilities and their use. So we're doing what we can to give the right resource. But you're right, I mean, it's a frustration, you know, if you guys are you guys are welcome to come down here and use these facilities whenever. And, you know, we've invested in, you know, 2 new chefs, you know, we're trying to do the right thing. But my point is, when you do come down midweek and it's deserted, it's quite depressing really, so we need to find a way of fixing that.
Just on that, the venue today, if this could have had it down there, the people could have, because a lot of people here would have seen the monkey. But it could have been down there, people could have gone down there and saw it. And it could have been interesting to other people today.
I mean, I think it's a great point, Steve, and it's something I think we can think about moving forward. What we were just chatting about whilst you were eating was, you know, the next time we see you, it would be nice to sit down and meet with you and chat, you know, and so then that's a more conducive environment in which to do that. I see that marquee as a community hub that we already have, and so, you know, part of our work over the next few months is starting to fill it and behave as if it's the building. You know, that's really how we want to try to work. It's already used. I mean, we use it through the day. We use it in connection with stuff that's going on in 3G. But absolutely, it's underutilised, and it could be putting back so much already. You know, in terms of getting more people through, offering different things. You know, thinking differently about the sorts of things that we offer here. You know, it's not just football and it's not just young people.
I was marking for a function after that, and it's a fantastic facility, and I think if you can get that out more, you'll get more and more people using it, and people from other sports who have to come along and say it didn't exist. But I do like the idea of a community club. I'm a bit involved around Portsmouth, and Portsmouth went in as a community club. And I think this is definitely the way forward. So it's a crap we should go forward.
Thank you. Thank you. We have to think about it and using you as a good reference to the marquee, and it's about marketing it more effectively. But thank you very much for all those points. I think that was the question.
Just an observation, really mentioned social media quite a bit in the conversation this afternoon. And it's just my experience of social media from the club is all about football. So it was a strategy about having a business social media where we comment. So if you've got one idea from everybody in the room to take, it's going to make your job.
Thank you. I'm really pleased you raised that. Was there a second? Well, I'm really pleased you raised that because it's reminded me to say something that I didn't say earlier. One of the things we're doing is redeveloping the club's website, and it's served its purpose so far, but it hasn't got the right functionality. But as part of that, we've also invested in already a new ticketing system where we're trying to encourage fans and indeed businesses and any users of these facilities to interact online. But the most important point is we're also launching, as part of that new website launch, David might do a better job of describing it, but it's effectively it's called 6 Circles, but it'll be branded as you know, we're going to host it effectively. But the functionality of that is for our business community and our sponsors. So the whole idea is that you can interact with other sponsors through that platform. You can share ideas, you can promote your own business. So instead of us coming to you historically and saying, can we have a few hundred quid, and it's gone up, of course, recently, for a board, and you then potentially relying on the 1,000+ people who turn up to see the board on a match day. The whole idea with this platform is that it's a much broader and bigger reach. David, are you in the room, mate? Do you want to say a few more words on that? Because I've done a really bad job of describing it.
Basically, it's a platform that connects, like Geoff said, the community of the all partners, sponsors, etc., with the fans. So basically, you register on the hub itself, and you basically, for the businesses themselves, you can put out offers to other businesses, to the fans, etc. So basically, like Geoff said, it opens up, instead of having just a board, you're actually going to have a board, plus you're having access to this hub as well, to go to potentially £17 social media followers, etc., that we have as part of the club. So it's going to be, well, I think we're the only club at the minute that we're actually doing it. So I think it might be a bit of a snowball effect, and you might see a lot of other clubs rolling out as well, because it is a very, very good thing to have the interaction with the fans by sponsors, parties, etc.
I think what we might do is get some of the guys that pretty much willing to volunteer through David, get involved in the early stages of that implementation, because we believe, the functionality that I'm desperately trying to do a better job of outlining, we believe that functionality will really benefit, the business user, and as David said, give you a chance to promote products and services across other sponsors and the fans, but we might not get it entirely right. It's not that we're breaking new ground, because this platform is being used in other business-to-business marketing environments, so it's a proven platform, but we're developing it further for the benefit of the football club and for the benefit of our sponsors. So I'm quite excited about that, and I should have mentioned it earlier. Any more questions, please?
Just what, Steve, when you said you didn't really want to go down the grant route because it's not sustainable, and then here it's not the new community hub. Does anyone, what's the views of the national lobby?
I think, sorry, we for all I've said, we don't go down the grant route. If there is something there like an awards for all that helps us to deliver a programme, then I'm not going to turn it down. I think if there is an ability to generate some capital investment for that building, then I'll take it, but there aren't many.
I mean, to be honest, the national lobby is still a big player, taking money out of people. There's 5%, 25% goes to good causes, and there's 5% that goes to development sector. So, and really, when I look around this town, I don't see enough of the lobby logo saying that it's being funded by the lobby. So really, sometimes it must be worth something that
I think historically there's been kind of underperformance in terms of accessing some of those programmes, not just by us, but across the region, actually. I'm not ruling that out, but I think it's more a philosophy, it's more an approach, it's more I'd much rather do it where I'm certain that, one, it's not going to take me 2 years to get the money in the first place, and two, there aren't going to be a whole list of conditions that take me off mission. So if those things line up, then absolutely.
One of the first places in South Shields to get a grant, I think, was the Arbet Farms Women's Centres. That's something like £55,000. And I'm sure they're going to get £55,000 for the stamp day for the town.
I think it's a great point, and I think it's not something that I would rule out. It's not where my energy or passion lies, really. I believe in that we should contribute. I believe that we should be sustainable financially. I believe that we should be in complete control of what we do.
You have to be going forward, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You have to be sustainable going forward.
Yeah.
It's just this one-off loan.
Yeah.
How to build it.
Yeah, and I think 100% absolutely we'll look at it. But I do think he said, I did say if somebody offers a grant, I wouldn't turn it down, as long as it 100% fits with what we're doing. And so if there is something out there that does that. Yeah, there are a few. There certainly are things out there that can contribute. If there's something there, then yes, we'll be part of it.
We wouldn't be naive about it. We want to take every opportunity that exists without compromising the long-term sustainability of the foundation. We've currently got an idea of what it's going to cost to build it. We've got a view on how much the capital sum is might change because we haven't agreed the final spec and how we might fund it. So we don't think there's a massive funding gap, but there's still some work to be done. I'll miss a few hands, yes, sir.
How much does South Tyneside Council support the club, because it hasn't been the past support South Tyneside?
Yeah, well, there's no financial support from the council. What I would say though is that certainly now, given the 3 years of success we've had, and I can't speak about the period before that, but I found everybody at the council, local councillors, the leader, the political leader, and the execs very, very helpful. Now the asset test, of course, is we've got this pre-planning application in. We're in lots of dialogue with the council about that, and again, that's been conducted very professionally and very positively. So I do think we've got a lot of political support, certainly.
Geoff, obviously you've got a big club along the way there and a smaller one across the time. Whenever I've got the opportunity to talk to these clubs, I'm always telling them about what we're doing here in South Shields. Do you have any links or support or collaborations with any larger clubs in the North East?
Well, Lee and Graham might want to comment from a footballing perspective, because there's certainly some links. Do you want to take the mic? You're not getting out of it that easily.
Just getting at the back of the room.
I think what we've managed to do over the last couple of years is build a pretty good relationship with the Sunderland Football Club. How that manifests itself can be across a number of different areas. So we've had a couple of players on loan. We've got a good relationship with Kevin Ball and a couple of other guys at the football club. There is that kind of relationship in place on that front, but also from things like I know the groundsman at Sunderland, Glenn, has been very helpful with Gary Crutwell with the pitch that we see out there. I mean, Gary is, I guess, one of the unsung heroes here at the football club. He's been here since year dot, and the amount of work that he puts into the pitch is incredible. But in a certain respect, he's been guided and helped by Glenn at Sunderland Football Club, so that they've helped us out in that respect. We obviously had the relationship with Sunderland Ladies last year. Unfortunately, due to their demotion from the Women's Premier League, they've had to then go down a different route. But yeah, it's certainly something that we can look to. I'm sure there's many synergies out there that we haven't explored yet between ourselves and other football clubs, even if it's just on a kind of information basis in terms of how they can help us grow in certain areas of the club. I know Geoff's got a couple of contacts. I know Geoff knows the guy who's taken Fleetwood Town from effectively the North-West Counties League. A similar kind of journey that we're trying to embark on ourselves, all the way through to League One, and they were a stone's throw away from being in the playoffs to the Championship, the second tier of English football, and that's an incredible story. We talked about the population and the demographic of the local area. I think Geoff quoted figures of around about 80,000 population in South Shields itself, and 160 in South Tyneside. I mean, take Fleetwood, it's got a population of circa 25,000 people, and they're now supporting a League One football club that regularly has, gates of around about, pretty modest at that level, but very good all the same when you put it in context of the population of the town. Say 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 people attending their games. So maybe we need to, as we continue along our journey, need to reach out and because they'll have undoubtedly made lots and lots of mistakes along the way on their journey, and if we can, rather than trying to reinvent the wheel, if we can try and learn from the mistakes that people have, that have made that on that same journey that we're trying to embark on, then be all the better for it.
Other questions, please?
I'm interested to get this one.
Well, I'll give you my version. But I think obviously we'd love to continue the success of the first team this year. We're in a strong position. Obviously, as we climb the leagues, there's more and more challenges to compete at that level. But I don't see any reason, without putting undue pressure on Graham and Lee, why we can't get promotion this year. That's our aspiration anyway, and our intent. Sorry, lads. So that gets us to Conference North. We've already commented on the need to reinvest in the ground and get the ground grading right. So what we're going to have to do is there's a bit of light footwork required, a bit of choreography if you like, because we've got to make sure the ground grading's right, whilst also hopefully continuing success on the pitch. There's one key thing though, that at or around that time, we're going to need a full-time professional team, either at Conference North or Conference, and we haven't got an exact timetable for that. And with that comes additional cost, and that's why, you know, the Project EFL launch today is important, and why we've got to invest in all of the things that we talked about, including the ground grading, so that the fans can come down here, hopefully in large numbers, have a great day out, watch some great football. But you know, we need to have a fan base that can support a full-time professional first team. So I didn't directly answer your question other than this season, only because I'm getting a PDI from the guy at the back, the man on my right. But I would say that the new standard we alluded to is at least 2 to 3 years away, and at least then we've got the infrastructure right. So it's then a question of, you know, trying to second guess what happens between now and that, within that 2 to 3 year period. But we're obviously going to be pushing every button we can to continue our success on the pitch. Well, I'm happy to take any individual questions if we've dried up. In summary, thanks again for both your time this afternoon and indeed your continued support. I genuinely mean that. Apologies where clearly we have dropped the ball sometimes with how we communicate and manage our relationships with you, and we need to fix that and redouble our efforts. I would say don't be shy coming forward if you see things that aren't right or we can improve on. You know, my email address, David, you know, the management team, Keith of course, the MD, we're all available and we're all very happy to hear any thoughts and ideas, so we're not perfect by any stretch. So in summary, you know, again, thank you. I'm genuinely excited about this launch. I suppose the underlying message is I can't do it alone. I'm not even arrogant enough to suggest that I could, not even remotely. It's going to require a huge community effort. There's all of those community benefits beyond what happens on the first team, of course, as we've alluded to with the academy, the Futures Academy, and certainly the foundation. So I'd like to think that we're all aligned and that, you know, what we can achieve. All right, yeah, the obvious measure of success is where we are as a first team football club, but it's also the other measures around what we do in our community, what impact we have on the community. I think we've all got a part to play in that. So thanks again for today. I just encourage you all to get behind it as best you can at whatever practical level, and again, grateful for your continued help. Sure.
When we get more TVs on the wall, we get a nice sports bar.
You know what? I remember talking about that a few home games ago. And I loved the idea. If you remember how enthusiastic I was when we spoke about it. But then I won't name names, but there was a few people around the management team who thought, oh, maybe that's being done and it might not work. What I think we need to do is let's put that out to the community and to the sponsors, and if we think that's worth doing, if there's a collective view that would make this facility better utilised, then we'll do it. But there was a sort of a good, healthy debate after we spoke, and we didn't really reach a consensus. I don't know if anyone's got a view on that already. Steve?
It would be great to put some TVs on Saturday night with the gym beer festival.
There's one supporter. I don't know how to resolve that actually, and I'm not trying to be difficult at all, it's just, I think it's a great idea personally.
There's not many good bars in the town with good televisions to watch it, you know.
Yeah.
Sunrise football. And I just, when you talk about the facilities being underutilised, and I'm sure it's 4 TVs will get looked at more than 4 hours.
Yeah.
I know your daughter probably shouldn't say that.
Well, she's in the room by the way, mate, so be careful. How about this then? David, what I'm going to ask of you, mate, if I can, is to, let's pick up on that idea directly, but let's get a few other people involved in the debate. If there's a genuine consensus, interestingly, our hub that we talked about earlier would have been a great method for actually capturing people's views and ideas. Maybe we could do some kind of survey amongst our sponsors. So we'll think about how we're going to get people's views collectively, but I'd like David to get a little team together with our sponsors and just, you know, really sort of exercise that fully, and if it's the right thing to do, it's certainly got my support.
And let's face it, when it's used for wedding functions or anniversaries or birthdays, you know, the tendency these days is for people to show the photographs on screens, isn't it?
Yeah.
And once again, you know, to have the 4 screens rolling through the...
Yeah.
You know, also show sponsors on the screens as well, they're not being used for...
Yeah. Well, we've got several supporters of this idea already, so I'm not genuinely, I think it's a great idea, and you know, yeah, there'll be a bit of capex to sort it, but that's immaterial. We should do it, but I don't want to prejudice the process. So there might be others sitting in the room quietly, or amongst the broader audience who think, well, actually, they quite like the mirrors, or it depends on how we set the room up and on what occasion. But
you could have a free beer after the game every time Newcastle wins.
yeah, that's a good idea.
Wouldn't cost very long.
I would like to say that I think we're going to be very creative. I'm not sure we're going to be that creative, but we're going to be creative with how we encourage the sponsors to use the facilities more and how we get more fans in here. I touched briefly on the ticketing system, you know, and that it's all about data and understanding who our customers are and what they need. I know it's a bit of a cliche, but we're genuinely trying hard to understand what you as sponsors want and indeed what the broader fan base want. And turning back to that particular point, I'm asking David to capture it, and we'll come back directly with an answer. But it's certainly got my personal support, so we'll just try and get a bit more feedback from others. But it sounds like a great idea. So again, I was wrapping up by saying thanks very much for your time. Genuinely, thanks so much for all of your previous support. Really exciting time for the club, and I know I've repeated myself about 95 times, but I really want you to pick this up, try and endorse it in all sorts of subtle ways, whether it's letterhead, email footers, employee participation. Tell us what you need from the club to help that happen. David's got some further follow-up with you all, obviously, in the coming weeks. But please let us know what you need to make this a success, and we'll be doing everything we can to support you and to achieve what we've set out today. So thank you again. Thank you.